opportunities for revenue. So maybe the next step is we've got the sewer thing going. It's a long way from getting approved and in place, but there's no reason why we can't be out shopping for potential investors in the community.
Route 28 is one of the finest pieces of property you could ever ask for. Route 28, drive up and down all day long. We, as a committee, we should develop a committee to go out and try to proliferate Route 28, to try to bring companies in. There's a beautiful piece of property there. We could attract companies to the town. I know we can do it. I really do, and that's the only solution.
without storage.
We've got a chairman, I say.
Now, without
We've got a
storage,
chairman.
it needs storage.
Gotta get off the mark in the storage.
Part of the, one of the things is,
He's not listening.
Warren after Steve, okay, and up at the
this
podium.
is what brings me back to part of the solutions that are being offered here this evening in taking, I don't mean to pick up the $500,000, but that $500,000 in that debt stabilization fund could go a long way to funding the seed money for certain proposals here, where if when we take it and we spend it in one fell swoop this year, or whatever it is, whatever the priority is for this year, that's short-sighted, and that's where my problem lies with some of the proposals.
The purpose of that money, when I originally proposed it, was that in the calculations, holding the cap at 960, right, we could leverage $7 to $9 million of spending. To me,
$7 to $9 million.
that,
We're talking about not just the sewage thing at, say, $10 million, is the formula you presented, but we're also looking at schools. We have our infrastructure in our schools. Our middle schools, 1964, nothing's been done because it was open. A new roof, a new gym floor, and a new heating system. You know, you've got your high school. You're looking at, what was the proposal now? $70 to $90 million proposal for a combination middle school, high school, which needs to be addressed. So, I mean,
Yeah, I don't
it's
agree.
nice.
I hear you.
$500,000 in 1 year to take care of it, that money is gone, and it can leverage millions of dollars future years to come to be investing in our infrastructure, to do something to give us a return on our investment rather than a feel-good approach for 1 year.
It's money
Warren.
we weren't expecting.
Just a couple quick comments.
That we have.
First of all, to address Steve's point about keeping some of that money in that stabilization account, and I think it is a good idea to have a savings account, to have something to help offset issues that come along. But so you aren't talking about taking the whole thing, you're just talking about taking that one piece.
Right, and it's money that was we didn't expect.
Right.
Okay, that Brad Jones got for us, in my view, to get us through hard times. I think it's perfect. It's the perfect sum of money to solve the problem now.
And I think that I think it wouldn't be a bad idea, I think, and if it would get the programs back into the schools, because I think if you got the programs back into the schools this year, the school department itself might look at trying to hold on to them for the next season, which would answer the question about, what are we going to do next year? Give them an opportunity, get those programs back into the schools, and then give the school department an opportunity to hang on to them by some kind of creative financing or creative management that they might be able to come up with. But to just not ever get them back, to just let it stay the way it is, probably isn't the best idea. So it's not really so much an expenditure, I think, as an investment back into the schools and back into the kids to get those programs back in, and then try to let the school department itself help us perpetuate those programs. So I think from that perspective, that would be probably a reasonable plan. But just to your point, Mike, I think that a lot has been done actually, and they touched on some of it, but some of what they didn't touch on is that some areas of the town, for example, Concord Street, for you talking about that street, it's been we rezoned it. We put a zone in there, industrial office zone, that eliminates things like trucking terminals, all the things that are there. They're no longer a permitted use. So once they go, they're gone. And we did that in anticipation of getting this sewer project in. I'm on the wastewater committee, along with Dave and a number of other people here. And we have worked for a long time, and we basically have this thing ready to bring to town meeting. There are a lot of other issues that need to be dealt with in town, but we feel this is a pretty important issue. And it is part of that whole plan, getting all the zoning in place so that when the sewer does come, those kind of businesses are instantly attracted to it. Now, why would they come? Because we have a better tax rate than any of the other communities. We have an equal tax rate between commercial and industrial. So if we give them a sewer district, a piece of land, they're going to come here because they can cut their cost of doing business dramatically. When Lotus first came here, they came here because they were all in Cambridge, and they were paying 1.7 or something tax classification. They came here and cut their costs dramatically, and that's why they came here in the first place to a Riv Park, and that Riv Park has turned out to be, that's a tremendous income generator for us. It's a good example of what you're talking about, of money coming in from a huge commercial development, so, and it has sewer. It has sewer hooked up to Wilmington. We develop the rest of this and we get this system in, now that we have the zoning in place, then the possibility is that we can get some of these businesses and get this growth there. So we actually look forward to bringing this to town meeting as soon as we possibly can and getting the support of yourself and others.
Rita?
Rita Mullen, 163 Chestnut Street, professional, full-time fundraiser for the town of North Reading Recreation, LUC, and Narissa. Divorced from the children like most of the people in your room, from the family, because we're out raising funds all the time. I just want to ask, did we cut 150 tonight in recreation, or is that a possibility?
Well, we haven't made any
Oh,
decisions at this point.
Is it that 100, and is that the other 45,000 that the TA had made?
That would be if
If it
the
happened.
board chose to do both of those,
Yeah.
it would be 100%, recreation would be 100% fee-based.
All right, 'cause just so the public knows, it'd probably be about an additional $81 to every child that plays, for every sport, for every kid, if you've got 2 children and they play 3 or 4 sports, that's another $800 or $1,000. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because recreation and LUC pretty much have raised quite a bit of money, in millions of dollars for the town and Hillview. And I know, Steve, when you talked about the Hillview possibly paying for it, has anybody, if we started to put the recreation under the Hillview?
I didn't say recreational grounds.
No, recreational
Not
grounds.
recreation. It's the grounds. There's groundskeeping and
Right, no, but I'm saying,
school grounds.
right, has anybody asked the Hillview, only because, again, we work pretty closely with the Hillview, and when we've asked them, every year we do go with the different projects that we're raising money for, and we ask them. And the past couple of years, they basically said they are on, kind of on hold now, because they came forward with them, hopefully they'll give us the 50,000 for kids spot this year, and that was something that came up here. But I don't know, it's a good thing to throw it out and to ask them, but maybe, I don't know if that's Rec's position or LUC's position. Maybe we have to get together then, Series Glass, and is that something that's available?
Rita,
this year?
I think the issue there is associated with the fact they're still paying some of the debt off.
No, I understand, that's what I'm saying, is
on the
that
park.
yeah, I don't know.
If that
that-
is retired,
Okay. So
then
there's a few-
clearly the opportunity to,
2 years it really drops off.
Okay, but I don't know if that's an option for this year, so I'm saying if we throw it out, and I guess one of the last things I'd like to ask is, if we do look at where the cuts are coming from, if they really did come from rec, which hopefully they don't, or whatever, can we look and see, does it keep continuing to hit a certain group of people? One year, people kept saying it's always the elderly we're hitting. Well, it just seems like it's the 25% of the people in town now that are just the people that have children in school. So I'm just asking, if we do get to that point, can we look at that also? Thank you.
thank you, Rita. Miss Deanna?
Deanna Castro, 9 Bridal Way. I am a member of North Reading United for Education and a Stand for Children leader as well. I had anticipated speaking to the board earlier. I wanted to thank you very much for all the hard work and the time that you spend going through this grueling process. As we witnessed tonight, in addition to every other night that we get together and discuss the budget, along with 350 other communities, there's no shortage of difficult decisions for you to make, and there's certainly no popular ones. And there, unfortunately, aren't a lot of solutions either. However, you have the commitment of all of us in this room on behalf of NRU and STAND to continue to work alongside you in partnership with the school department and other departments in town to continue to lobby at the state level, which I do think is the most lucrative solution that we can explore. To date, we've met with Brad Jones. We've met with Brad Jones and Senator Tarr and other legislators over the years. We initiated a letter writing campaign to give Deval Patrick a couple weeks before he delivered House Budget 1. I'd like to believe that that $600,000 additionally to North Reading might have been partially because we put a lot of pressure on him, and we spoke in loud volumes. In addition, this week we're launching another letter writing campaign throughout the schools, and that is going to be geared towards the chairman of the House Ways and Means, both on the House and Senate side, That'll hit their desks hopefully by the end of this week and early next week. It's another group of people that we can influence at the state level. On March 28th at 10 o'clock in this very room, Senator Bruce Tarr and Representative Brad Jones will be back here, hopefully working again in conjunction with our two groups, and I hope everyone here will join us. Please write that down in your calendars. But that's not for the parents to show up to. That's for every person in this town who doesn't want to see a Proposition 2.5 override on the ballot. We need everybody, young and old alike, to stand together on March 28th to work towards the solution. As a parent, I can promise you that I feel like I am literally killing myself annually to do what is right for my children, and I don't know if I have the energy to come back and do this every single year. What has happened is immoral. The discussions that are taking place in our homes today are wrong. They are extremely difficult. The conversations today is, can I live in North Reading anymore? I have to worry about what people think of me because I may be in a position to pay for a private school. There's that pressure that if you have the ability to pay, you should be sending your kids to private school. What are you thinking? Well, that's not fair. I moved here, as did most of the people in this room, for the package deal. I did my due diligence, as many people did. I learned what was going on in the school system. I researched this community. I went to town meetings before I moved here. I bought the package 6 years ago, but that's not what I'm getting today. I need to live in a community that supports my family. And unfortunately, that school system that I bought into 6 years ago is but a skeleton. We've become a school system of minimums, and I'll just read a couple of them for you. We're at the minimum, or we might as well be at the bottom. We're 13th from the bottom of the state in per pupil spending. In fact, we spend $9,049 for each of our students. The average peer group in our benchmarking report was $10,250. The state average, $11,788. They're spending $3,000 on average more than we are spending in North Reading. We only went from 8th to 13th because of an accounting measure of retirement benefits. That going from 8th to 13th did nothing to better the education of our children. We're also at the minimum in the number of hours that our children are spending with time and learning. The minimum state requirement. That's where we're at in North Reading. We're at the minimum in the number of opportunities that we engage our children with technology, physical education, music, and the arts, when there is clear evidence and research to show that the longer school days are helping children achieve more, and that children that are surrounded by a curriculum enriched by the arts are better qualified in getting better test results. There is research and statistics to show that, and yet we reversed that trend and went back to the state minimum. We're also at the minimum in the number of offerings that we have, and if we don't do the right thing, we could have the students in our high school have less for the graduation requirements. So at a time when it's harder to get into colleges and more is expected and mandated by the state and the Board of Education, we again are reversing the trend and offering minimums. Minimums around of opportunities for kids to stand around science labs and every other opportunity just like that for research. And in the information age, we don't have a middle school research librarian to fund and to work with over 500 kids in our middle school. The one thing that came up tonight, and I hope that I could ask for your consensus on, so that we can walk away with a little bit more hope than we've had before, is that it seems to me that the conversation that took place tonight is that there is consensus among you that the status quo budget that the school committee has put forward would be the minimum that we would all be striving for. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say for me.
As a school budget, as it is now,
As a minimum.
I would say that's the minimum I would accept.
Simply, my intention is more than
Mr. Harris?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Then we walk away with some hope that that would be our absolute minimum. But our goal would be to restore the people and the programs and the services that were cut last year